Hi everybody, this is Roxy, and I just wanted to show my first multimedia mixed media collage that I did. I've been obviously watching Christy Tomlinson, as you can tell, and she is just amazing. I don't know, I think out of all the mixed media styles that there are, hers is my favorite, and she just really has fun colors and, you know, just zigzaggies and doodads and embellishments. So anyways, I'm just going to go through the products. So I made this for my friend Melissa's getting married this weekend, and this is a line from the song or the poem that she's going to use. I made some fans for her, and she had a poem. It's actually a song by Greg Brown, and it's really a cool song. It just really sums up her and her fiance. So I'm just gonna say, I mean, I know it's not the most gorgeous thing, but I kind of like how it turned out. So I'm just gonna go through the products that I use in the order. First, I used this American Crafts Dear Lizzy Neapolitan, and she's a baker and cook, so I put down, first I put them on and then I covered them all up, but I put down the mason jar strip here, and then I kind of put down colors that would help the houses, you know, make the houses look like houses, and then up here I put down some blue colors or strips of paper. But the houses, it's really hard to stamp. I have to practice more in stamping on canvas that's, you know, it's on a frame, so it's kind of loose. The flatboard canvases are fine to stamp on, I think. So anyways, so then I ended up just re-stamping the houses on paper and cutting them out and placing them over where I had stamped. This little piece, You Make My Heart Sing, is from the paper pad. And then down here, there's a strip that says, A Tight Squeeze from You Today. And the sentiment, or the line from the song was, or I used, is, I'm so glad to see you today. It's really a cool song. You should go, you have to Google it, because he only sings part of it on a YouTube video that somebody recorded. I think it's just called Hey Baby Hey. It's really cool. It's really sweet and kind of homespunny. But anyways, so then I put down a couple different colors of Glimmer Glam in Tide Pool and Blizzard, just kind of here and there. It adds a little bit of glimmer. Like you can see some of the glimmer here, down here, up here. So I used that. Then I put down some Spun Sugar Distress stain here and there. Then I got out my gelatos, which are, I just used a few different colors, but kind of mostly the summer colors here and there, and rubbed it. And I do have some video of me doing it, so you'll see. But I like rubbed it in a little bit and used this paintbrush. This came with a set of gelatos I found on, I think it was one of those daily deals. So then I stamped all my stuff, and here's the stamp set. It's really cute. It's called Dreamy from the Greening Farm. It's really adorable. Cute stamp set. So I used that. And then I used some of Christy's Rub Ons. She's notorious for using them, obviously. And then I used this 6x6 template with some molding paste. And I mixed Martha Stewart Surf and Chamomile to come up with this really pretty kind of limey green. I forgot, after I put down the paper, I Mod Podged all the paper pieces down initially, and then the gelatos, and then I kind of did a dry brush over it to tone down the brightness of it. Okay, so I did that. Then I just cut the sentiment out of just copy paper and used some big brush Pitt markers. And I also outlined a lot of the stuff with my Zig Memory System. I've had these since I worked in graphic arts, so it's about 15 years at least. Then I added a couple birdies here and here, and those are from the Melody Arts Soul Food Collection. I love these birds. I'm glad I got a couple sets of them. So, and then did the molding paste, blah, blah, blah. What else? I think I'm done. Then I found, and I love it, it's perfect. I found these two, these were from pillowcases. And I just cut the pillowcases off. But they're perfect colors. So I put the green on the top and bottom, and then yellow on the sides. And then I'm going to cover the back with a piece of paper. And then I finally added kind of a little sun for the neighborhood. Oh, and the little trees, I had those. But I kind of like how it turned out. I know it's a hot mess on some areas. Like here I got a little messy down here. But it's really fun to do. It really, I just see why she does it so well. Because I think she just does it with abandon. And that's what I got to get used to. Of course, I got to get techniques down. But I really enjoyed it, and I hope Melissa likes it and doesn't go, oh my goodness, what the heck is that? So, we'll see, and thanks for watching. Bye. And, okay, so I did not talk at all while I was making my collage because I was just so focused and so immersed in it. So I thought I'd do a little voiceover about just some little fun stories. Like this morning, I woke up and I have a coffee pot. It's called the Cuisinart On Demand. And what it is it's a big coffee pot. I love it. It makes the best coffee. And it keeps it hot in the reservoir for 2 hours. And I mean like hot. It's not kind of warm. It's hot. Thank you. So anyways, the way how you make it is you fill the top reservoir with water. And then you put the coffee in the basket, and when it makes it, it holds it in this upper reservoir. So then when you want a cup of coffee, you just put your coffee cup under the little spigot or spout and push a lever and the coffee comes out. Okay, so this morning, I always make the coffee, not make the coffee, but set the coffee pot up the day before. Because I just put cold water in, it lasts fine, whatever. And then once a month, of course, I do I run vinegar through the pot twice, or through the machine twice, and then do a CLR, another round of vinegar, and then regular plain water. And that cleans it really well, because it will get kind of, like that white, I don't know if it's calcium or whatever. We have a lot of that in our water, so the pot will get kind of clogged up a little bit. So I just do that once a month. Okay, so anyways, so sometimes if it does get clogged up, nothing will run through, or maybe like a cup full of water will run through when I make it in the morning. So this morning I get my favorite new little coffee cup that I found at a garage sale a couple weeks ago. Put in my 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of cream, maybe even a little more. I kind of like a little coffee with my cream. And I go over to my coffee pot, put my coffee cup under there, push the lever, nothing comes out. And I'm like, oh, panic, I do it again, nothing. I kept doing it. Oh, I was just like kind of starting to get frantic. I look at the side of it and can see all the water in there. And I thought, darn it, because I just had cleaned it out 2 weeks ago. Well, then it dawned on me I never started it in the morning. Like, all you have to do is turn this little button and it starts. So that was almost a disaster today. So I thought, well, my day isn't going to be as bad as I thought. Excuse me. So far, it hasn't been. But anyway, so that was just my morning ritual that got a little off kilter. So, anyways, last night we had company come over. It's a friend of Bill. Well, he used to work with her at this these chain of supermarkets in Minneapolis. When he'd come home for college and he'd work at the store. He first got a job there packing meat because they had a meat counter and stuff, old-fashioned little neighborhood grocery stores. I guess the guy became like a multi-millionaire. He ended up having a boat, a yacht. The owner of the store, Kenny, had a yacht made in Australia, I think it was. I don't know why there. And had it shipped to Florida where his condo was. This is back in like the 70s, or probably 80s, I suppose. And then come to find out, his wife hated the water. They only went out on the boat once and had it just parked outside their condo for the rest of the time. And it cost $1 million to build the boat. So they had all these little stores all over Minneapolis, kind of unassuming. So his friend that came over last night told us all these stories, and it's like, boy, who would have thought, So anyways, we haven't seen her in 30 years because he worked there before, like I said, in college and then before we got married. But I met her a few times, and so anyways, I go to the Michaels in Eagan, which is not too far from here. And down at the end of the shopping center with the Michaels is a store called Byerly's. It's a food store, a grocery store. And when I go to Michael's, we'll be running errands on Saturday mornings. I'll go to Michael's. He'll run down to the mall, and he'll go to Barnes & Nobles and maybe peek in at Pier 1. And we had Gala. We'd go to PetSmart and then end up down at Byerly's. Well, one Saturday, he runs into Pat, this woman he worked with. And she now is running like the cashier, supervisor, I don't know what she is, at the store. So, he'd run into her often. When I was in Michael's, he'd go down his little merry way. And so, like 2 years, this was 3 years ago, and he kept saying, well, we're going to have you over, and you know how that goes sometimes. Well, we finally just made a date and had her over for dinner last night. And I was kind of thinking, what are we going to talk about? I haven't seen her in 30 years. I, really only met her a few times. But 4 hours later, we had no problems chatting. We did a lot of visiting and whatnot. So anyways, but when she got here, we were giving her the tour of the house, because she's into they remodeled their whole house, and, we've done that here. So we're doing that, and I'm kind of getting nervous because I had made this taco salad that had it's really a good salad. It's really cool. I found it online. You take a can of chili beans, pound of hamburger, browned, and then a bottle of French dressing and a little bit of water, and mix it all together and heat it, boil it, and then simmer it for 15 minutes and throw it on your taco salad, whatever you want in your taco salad. And everybody had seconds and thirds. Some even had thirds at our dinner last night because it's really good. It's on allrecipes.com. You can just Google taco salad and all recipes. It's like the first one that'll pop up usually. So, and it has French dressing and chili beans. So anyways, we're giving a tour, and I'm like, boy, because the hot stuff has been sitting there for 10 minutes already, and I'm super nervous about foodborne whatchamacallies, bacteria or whatever, because I've had one bout of salmonella poisoning and another bout of giardia, and I don't want any more of that stuff, you know, because it really can kill you. So anyways, not to get gross, but so anyways, she want, you know, he's going to show her the basement, and I said, well, you guys go down and I'll get the salad and stuff ready, and then we can have dinner. So they all go down, and all I hear, you know, my crafting is down there. And you know what everybody's, I mean, you know. So, and like people that have gone down there before, they're like, we get down there and they're like, oh my God, it's like a store, you know. So all I can hear down there is, you bring her to Michael's? You let her go to Michael's every week? You know, because he sees her every time we go to Michael's. Not every time, but a lot of the times. And I'm just like, oh, geez, you know. So she comes up, and I'm, of course, like, you know, justifying all that. And she's like, well, how can you remember where everything is? It's like, well, I don't. But that's kind of the fun of it, because, you know, you get digging and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had that. So anyways, we got talking and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we told her about Galloway and, you know, how he just passed away and stuff. So she was okay, so I think I got mixed up. I touched my docking system and I got thrown off. Okay, so where was it? Oh yeah, so she's telling us about a Dalmatian, her friend's Dalmatian. The friend has a Dalmatian and a Labrador, okay? And they were finding that, because I was talking about how Gallo was naughty every single day of his life. He just was. Dalmatians are like that. I know there's other breeds, but the characteristic of a Dalmatian is to be naughty and sneaky, and they're really smart. They sit and watch, like where you put stuff, and then they'll kind of look away, and when you're not looking, they'll go get it. I.e. food, napkins, you know, anything they're not supposed to have. So I was kind of telling her about stuff, and then she was saying how the friend has a Dalmatian and Lab. They kept missing food, or food was missing on the counters. So they finally set up a video camera, and this could be an urban legend that I don't know, but it's funny. But anyways, so they set up a video camera. Sure enough, they put a box of cookies up on the counter. The Dalmatian goes over there, gets the box of cookies, and the Labrador is sitting on her bed, like over here, and just kind of watching. Dalmatian brings the cookies, brings it over to the other dog, puts it down and eats them all, where the Lab is kind of looking away like, I'm not going to have any part of this, you know. And the Dalmatian eats all the cookies, leaves the box there, and then goes and lays down, because when the people got home, the box is sitting with the Lab, and the Dalmatian's in her little bed over in another room. So that could be an urban legend. I don't know, but it makes perfect sense. And so I thought I would just go through all the stuff, not all of it, because Gallo would eat. He just was so naughty. But anyways, at this house, he couldn't get up on the counter because the counters are higher. You know, they're newer, higher counters. Plus, he had gotten kind of where he couldn't jump up on stuff anymore, thank God. But in his heyday, when we first got him, we have a lake cabin.
It only needs labels.
And we would be down there, and one Sunday, we had a neighbor down there that had 2 Labradors, a mom and a son, Callie and Cole. And Tom, the owner, or guy, would leave an ice cream bucket of food outside his, no, that was before Cole. Okay, never mind. So Gal was a puppy, and it was just Callie that was there. She hadn't had her puppies yet. So one Sunday, we're like, where's Gallo? Because we'd let him run around, you know, kind of watch him. And of course, I'm thinking that Bill's watching him. He's thinking I'm watching him. I'm in the front yard. He's in, you know, whatever. So we're like, oh crap, Gallo's missing. And we were right across the road was a big cornfield. And it's like, that's the last place you want to lose an animal, especially a puppy, because, you know, you would be searching for months. So we're both looking around, and all of a sudden we see Tom's garage door open, and we're like, and we knew he kept his food for Callie in there. He kept it in there at the time. It was later that he put it outside. So we both are like, oh crap. And we go over there, and there's a huge bag of food, and I mean 50-pound bag of food on the floor, and you can see movement in it. So we go in there, and sure enough, Gallo is in the bag eating as much food as he can muster. We got him out of there, and I mean, we're glad we found him, but he had eaten already so much that his back and his belly were just like a big round ball. So we had to kind of just watch him all night, and he didn't have any problem, but he was just passing gas like you wouldn't believe. So then later, when Callie had Cole,
down here,
and this to me was amazing to watch. We'd get down to the lake and let Gallo out, because he would just be frantic. As soon as we got halfway there, there was a hog farm, or not a hog farm, a cattle farm. So when he smelt that cattle farm, he knew where we were going, and he just, that way, we're still like a 15-minute drive, and he would just like pace the whole car and cry and whine until we got to the stupid cabin. So it'd be just like, get out of the car and go, he'd be crawling over you before you opened the door. So anyway, he'd always run over to Callie and Cole and play with them. Well, we found out one time, because usually we'd be like hauling crap into the cabin, and one time I sat and watched him, and he ran over there, and this was when Tom put their ice cream bucket full of food out in front of the garage doors. And they were just lazy little Labradors. They'd kind of be laying around, and Cole was a little smarter than Callie, or more, energetic, I should say, than Callie. So Gallo would run over there. This one time I watched, Gallo ran over there, and he tried to get to the food, and Cole kind of, got over there and kind of pushed him away or whatever. So then he was kind of just like, walking around playing, and this was his little sneakiness. He nipped at Callie and nipped at Cole to try to get him up to play. And finally, after a while of, nipping at him and running around him and jumping on him, he got both of them up to come play, and he kind of nipped at Cole a little bit harder and then ran around to the house, or ran around the side of the garage to the front of the house. Well, naturally, Callie and Cole both get up and they come running after him. And they're, by now they're like, doo-doo-doo, we're playing. They forgot why they're running after him. They just think, oh, good, we're playing now. And they kept running. Gallo stopped. They kept running all the way around to the front of the house. And Galloway came back and ran and ate all their food. It's like, to see a dog do that is just, to me, amazing. It's like, that's reasoning, you know what I mean? Or just, planning ahead, too. But anyway, so that was another time that he, and then he would eat the whole bucket of food. Not just a little bit, but he'd have to eat the whole. That was one thing. We never could leave more, and we would just have to feed him, like our dog growing up, we just left out a bucket of food and he'd just eat when he wanted to, So then anyways, I was talking about, we were just talking last night about different instances where Gallo stole food or whatever. So one of them was Easter. We were having a bunch of people over for Easter, and there's a bakery down where Bill works, and he said, well, I'll get one of their cool egg cakes. And it's a big egg that's decorated just beautifully. It's all, looks like somebody painted the egg, or with frosting. So he brings that home on a Friday, and we put it up on the counter, and this was at our old house where the counters were shorter. We put it up on the counter, and it was in kind of this plastic dome cover, like for a cake, shaped like an egg. And then our friends came over and said, and we always would just kind of go to each other's house when we were bored. And they actually live next door to us at the lake, too. So they came over and said, oh, let's go looking around. I think something was going on downtown or something, so we want to go look at it. And it was just kind of like something to do at night. So we left, and we got about 4 blocks away, and Bill's like, oh, the cake, because he left it on the counter. And so we ran back, or drove back, ran in the house, and sure enough, there was a dent in the plastic covering. So Gallo had already like pushed on it, because there wasn't a dent there before we left. So he put the cake up on the fridge. Okay, so Sunday comes. And
I think you first
people are going to be coming, so I'm, we're doing our getting the ham and everything ready, and at the last minute, one of my sister called and says, "Oh, I can't, my car's not running. Can you come get me?" So Bill goes to go get her because all the company's going to be coming in with, I think it was about a half hour or 45 minutes. So he runs to go get her, and I thought, well, I'll get the cake done because I want to put it on the dining table for the centerpiece with all my little stuff. So I'm pulling the cake off the fridge, and it slips out of my hand and slides down the cupboard onto the floor, but it landed on it was still kind of on the cardboard and kind of landed straight up, but it was like a big chopped up mess. And of course, who comes running over thinking oh good, I finally get this stupid cake. And so I had to kind of like keep pushing him away. I get the cake up, and it's just a big ugly pile of cake and frosting. You can't even tell it's an egg anymore. So that was it was kind of funny because when you put it on, I thought, oh, forget it. And I put it on the table. It just looked like a big mess, and I blame it all on Gallo. So another time that he was naughty, when I worked out of the home, I didn't work far from here. I was right down the street from Mall of America, so it's like 10 minutes away. So one day I had to go to the doctor at lunch. So I ran home because I realized I forgot to take the roast out of the freezer so that I could throw it in for dinner when I got home. So I pulled it out and I put it in the sink, and it was still in the packaging. It had like one of those white foam trays, and then that weird thing that kind of soaks up juice or whatever.
Same thing.
And then the roast, and it was wrapped in plastic.
See how that turned around?
So I threw it in the sink, ran to my doctor's appointment, which was about, it wasn't a half hour because I just had to go there, get it was my allergy shots, go there, get my allergy shots, and come back home. And I don't know why, I don't remember why I had to come back home and do something and then go back to work. I might have had to come back and eat. I don't remember that part. Because when I got home, the roast is gone. And mind you, it's frozen solid. I just pulled it out. And I'm looking all over the house, and I'm like, what? And then, of course, he's just like, oh, I don't know anything. I've just been sitting here on my bed. And I look everywhere, and all I found was like a 50-cent piece size of the white foam tray. Everything else was gone. He had eaten through everything. I don't know how he got that frozen thing. There wasn't any, the carpet wasn't dirty. I don't know how he did it. I don't know. We'll never know.
Don't go by that.
Another time,
just go by.
He's eaten like pounds of butter. If I put a pound of butter out, if I'm, going to be cooking or baking at Christmas, he's had he's probably had 4 pounds of butter like that. Because, you forget, or you just, like one time I made a batch of cookie dough, spritz, and I put it on the counter, and I told Bill, I said, I'm going to take a shower. Side, right? Just make sure he doesn't get this,
and then on the bottom here.
And yeah, it's like, I could have put it up high, but, So, of course, I go to take my shower, and of course, how husbands are. He forgot to watch it. I come out, the bowl is still on the counter, but is licked completely clean of any spritz, it's like I just took it out of the cupboard. It was so clean. He's had, Sweet Martha cookies. I don't know if you have them there. We have them here. That's some lady that started making cookies at the state fair, and you can buy a bucket full. They're like, I suppose like I don't know how big they are, but it's a bucket. They've piled the cookies high on the bucket. So you kind of eat some in the fair, and then you got to take the bucket home. So one year I got a bucket full, and we ate all the cookies that were piled high. And then a few days later, we were going to watch a movie and have cookies and milk. So this was at our old house again. We had our TV room. I brought the cookies in there, and then it was like, I'm not sure what time it was, but I know we had to. It was a Sunday, so I know I think we had to go get a prescription or something. It's like, oh crap! So we both went for some reason, and came back. The bucket lid was a little bit nibbled on the edge, but he had that lid off and had it licked clean. So the truth about dogs and chocolate did not matter to him. He ate all the chocolate he wanted. Let me think another. I mean, there's just like endless naughty stories. My mother-in-law always has a handkerchief in her pocket, like her pant pocket, or she'll stick it up her sleeve, you know. Well, Gallo, he's never been the kind of dog that is real lovey-dovey with people. Like certain people he is. If they show him a lot of love, i.e. biscuits or treats, he's all over him like a bad rash. So Bill's mom is not like come here, little, you know, his dad was.
Thank you.
And Gallo loved his dad, but, and he doesn't not like his mom. He just is like, hey, Grandma, how are you? Except when he realized that he could get handkerchiefs from her. So at first, she would keep her handkerchief up her little sleeve. You know how some people do that? They shove it up the cuff of their sleeve or whatever. So he learned that when she went and pet him, like he'd kind of get his head under her hand so that she'd pet him. You know, she's sitting in a chair or whatever. And we finally saw it because she'd be like, where's my hanky? She'd go pet him and he'd sneakily pull her handkerchief out of her sleeve and just like drop it on the floor so nobody could see. And then when he walked away, he'd go, you know, bend down and grab it and walk away. Then she started putting them in her pockets because we said, oh, you gotta, you know, hide your hanky. So she put it in her pocket. Well, that darn dog would walk by her and go like that with his mouth and pull it out of her pocket. If she left it on the table, I mean, finally we said, you know what, you just better keep them up in your bra, you know. So she did, and he never figured out a way to get him out of her bra. Let me think. Oh, another one was, I just love talking about Gallo because he's such a funny, crazy little dog. So another time I had a box of Cold Ease. They're lozenges that are zinc, and you can take them if you start feeling a cold. They'll reduce your symptoms, and they seem to work. So this was at our old house where he was probably about a year old at the time. And at that time, we kept him in a kennel at night because dogs like being in their kennels, you know. So we had a lower level where we had a TV room, and that's where his kennel was. So I had brought home a box of Coldies, put it on the table near my chair down there, and then the phone rang. And in those days, you know, we had landlines. We didn't have a phone downstairs because we kind of just, I don't know, didn't have one. Or else maybe it wasn't working. I don't know. Anyways, so I had to go upstairs to get the phone, and I'm up there, and I could hear all this rustling around downstairs. But it was my mother-in-law calling long distance because they were down in Texas for the winter. So I couldn't go, oh, you know, I mean, I didn't want to waste her money and go, can you hold on so I can go see what he's doing? So I was banging on the counter, and I would muffle the phone and call, Gallo, get up here. So he finally comes running up, and he's got little chips of gold on his little black lips. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is he, you know, because I forgot about the Coldies. And I thought, oh my God, he's eating the ornaments off the Christmas tree because we had it up already. So I'm like, stay up here, doing that. And he just looked at me, turned and ran back downstairs. So by the time I got down there, he had eaten every single Coldie's lozenge, and there's probably like 20 some in a pack. The wrappers were all over, the box was still there, it was torn up. And that night, at about midnight, we started hearing this like groaning. He just groaned for about 2 hours because he was so sick. But, what are you going to do? It's like, I'm not going to take him to the vet and have his little tummy pumped. So that was the Coldie's incident. Let me think if there's, what other ones are there? There's too numerous to mention. But he was a live wire. He was funny. We missed him so much. It's like, we had him 15 years, so kind of a huge void in our life right now. And I want to get another dog, but I think Scrubby wants to wait after the winter, especially because for him, if we got to let him out at night, I know another good one. Okay, so at our 2 houses ago, like I said, we had him in a kennel downstairs. So when we moved to the last house we lived in, it didn't have a basement, it just had a crawl space. And most houses up here, you have to have a basement or some kind of lower foundation thing for the winter. So this house was just had like a 5-foot crawl space where you could have storage. You couldn't go down there. I mean, you could go down there, but you couldn't like live down there unless you were like a little midget. But so when we moved there was like not much room. It was a 2-bedroom, 1,400 square feet, so it was pretty small. And so we first had his kennel, which is huge, it's about as big as a desk. First had it in the 2nd bedroom, but when we got settled, it's like, well, this isn't going to work because we got all, we want our TV and whatnot in there. So then we said, well, let's put it in the laundry room, which at the back of the laundry room was the furnace and the water heater and the water softener and stuff. So we had it in there. We had him in the front room. Then we put it in there, and the next morning, he slept in there at night, and then in the morning, Bill would get him up, go for a walk, come back. I'd get ready for work. I'd put him back in the kennel and go to work. Well, at last, the first day that he was in there, during the day, he was fine at night for some reason, but during the day, he freaked out, and I got home, and I thought it was tears on the floor of his kennel because it was all wet, but it probably was, saliva. His little nose was all cut up and swollen because he had shoved it through the wires. I don't know if he was trying to get out, but he was kind of frantic when I got home, and I'm like, oh, geez, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together because we had it shoved back near the furnace. So, we let him out when I got home. The next morning, I go to put him in his kennel, and it's like he's not budging. He's not going to go in there. And after about a half hour, I'm already running late. I'm like, I've got like Braunschweigert out, his favorite meat of all time. And I put a little bit in there, and he wouldn't budge. And I put a little more in there, nothing. I put the whole thing in there, and he would not go in the kennel. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I said, I got to go to work, so be a good boy and don't get into anything. And I left him, to fend for himself and went to work, came home, and he actually was a good boy. He didn't get into anything naughty. So ever since then, we just let him, have his way in the house or just have, he was able to just sleep in the house. Of course, he'd get up on the bed or the couch when he didn't want to. But that was his little coming of age day when he got to be a big boy and stay out of his kennel. So, and I think what was wrong was that it was so noisy back there. But ironically, when he would get scared from storms and thunder and stuff, that's where one day I came home, I couldn't find him through the whole house. And, you know, like I said, it's a 1,400 square house, it's not big. And I couldn't find him anywhere, and I finally found him. Somehow he had got himself wrapped around behind the furnace. And because it was thundering and he was scared to death. So that's our baby gallo. So now I have to remember, I want to remember to say this. I was just listening to a Yoli video where she was talking about Breaking Bad and Hell on Wheels and, you know, some shows she likes. I tried watching Breaking Bad 3 or 4 times. I tried to watch the first episode and I can't even get through it. I don't know why. I think for me, I think this whole methamphetamine is like the downfall of our society. And if we don't get a handle on it, there's going to be hell to pay. There is already, but I think and I'm not placing a moral judgment on anybody that watches the show. I personally just can't watch it. I don't know why. I just can't. I don't think that it sanctions the whole, because I haven't watched it. You know, I don't even know what it's about as much. You know, I haven't gone deep into it. But I'm not saying that it sanctions any of it. I'm just saying I can't watch it. But we are watching Hell on Wheels. It's fantastic. And there's a new show called Broadchurch, which is amazing. So that's on BBC America. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's cool. And here's the rest of my video. So thanks for watching and let me share. Bye.